Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today what we're going to end up doing is we're going to spend a little bit of time with Ricecar 2.0 here. We're going to try and get the fuel tank put in. We're going to get those rear control arms pulled out. I'm probably going to try and lay the return line in and get that hooked up to the fuel tank and see how close I can get to the regulator up here. See if I need a longer piece or if I can get away with what we got. And then once I know what I'm doing with that, then I can go ahead and get everything ordered that I will need. And then I'll probably end up pulling the booster out because, as you've seen in other videos there, it's kind of rusty. Not the most appealing guy there. So see if I got one that's not rusty or in better shape than this one. And whichever one comes out, whichever one looks the best out of all the boosters I got is the one that's going to get put on the car. Unfortunately, I didn't get any boxes today for the white car here, so there's really not anything I can do with it. We finished the fuel system yesterday. We put pressure to it, no leaks, and then I got everything laid out right now for the staging brake. I'm just waiting for those bulkhead fittings so I can actually unhook the lines, get everything kind of set up, and then see if I can get the system bled out using the red calipers that are on the car right now. I'm going to bleed it with the red calipers that are on the car right now, so just in case something does happen where the color that we pick gets back ordered or something happens and everything else shows up and I get the opportunity to start driving the car before everything's back, I can still drive it with these red calipers bled out. I'll just unhook the red calipers, kind of set them off to the side, bolt the yellow ones on, shine a flashlight through the front of the wheel while I look through the back and see where it's really close and where I got to grind, and then I'll just pull the wheel back off, pull the caliper off, grind away on the caliper, fit it back on, and then once I'm done with the yellow caliper, pull the seal, pull the piston, we'll get it prepped and ready for powder. I'll put the red ones back on the car so we can drive it, and then I'll just leave the 16s on so we're not worried about the brakes rubbing those wheels at all. They're definitely going to clear. I mean, they got miles of room between the caliper and the wheel. So that won't be an issue if those parts are at powder and we do get the opportunity to fire the car, put it through a heat cycle, and then kind of set the ride height half-assed and then put it out on the road and start getting braking miles on this turbo so we can get this guy ready as soon as possible to go to the dyno and put a tune on this thing. And then we'll get an alignment put on it, and then we'll go to the racetrack, see what it does in the 8th mile, and that would give me the opportunity to work with the car, get the 60-foot dialed in, get the short track dialed in, because once we're out in 8th mile, I mean, we're clicked into 4th gear and we're riding it out the rest of the racetrack. So ideally, 8th mile testing would be pretty good for us. It'd give me the first 3 gears, get the short track down, and then once we're confident with it, we'll make a full quarter-mile pass with it. I guess risk getting kicked out if I don't have a cage in it, or we do an 8th mile day and we kind of hang out with it, and then we try and find somebody to get the roll cage put in, get that done as soon as absolutely possible, and that way we can get out to the track and start making full passes and see if we can really go for the record. We just got to take it in strides. What I could do for now is just bolt a factory seat in it to at least, get it to the dyno, get in alignment with it, get my braking miles in. We're going to take advantage of the opportunity of not having any parts for this car to see if we can make any headway on this car and get some of these parts out of my way, because that canister was sitting on the toolbox for a while, and I mean, it's not a lot of space, but once you get all this stuff up there, it definitely becomes a lot of space. Because I mean, you got to consider that canister probably sits about this deep by the time you get the sending unit and the basket and everything on it, and it's and the bases are probably about that big around, so it takes up some space. So if I get the fuel tank in the car, I do have the rollover valve back here. I dug that out. I did clean everything out from behind the car. We'll get that rollover valve in, and then I'll get the fuel tank in. We'll get the rear control arms out, and then after we get the control arms out and the fuel tank in the car, then I'm going to pull the booster out. We'll find the cleanest one I got in the basement, and we'll put that guy in the car, get the master cylinder set in, and then once I get that master in, I can get all the lines hooked up and get it ready. That way, once we do get calipers back from powder for this car, I can get this system bled out and we can get this guy ready to rock too. So once the spindles are back, calipers are back, I can hang them, get the suspension put together, get the wheel bearings and everything put in, obviously. I do have those other hubs that got ARP studs in already. Got brand new wheel bearings right here, so we're ready to rock. Start working out from there, I guess. It'll just kind of be a play of where parts show up at. Get the rear control arms back from powder. Those will go in, probably be the same time that I get the calipers, hopefully anyway, because it'll be the same color. So those will happen then. We're going to get that rollover valve mounted, and then we're going to try and hang the fuel tank, and we're just going to work down our list from there. We're going to go after the control arms, go after the booster, then the master, hook up the lines, see where we end up. Alright, I'm not sure how much you guys are going to be able to see inside of here, but we'll try. I'd say one's definitely better than the other, huh? Old, new. Almost no rust, just a little bit on the studs. A ton of rust where the brake fluid leaked. No longer a problem. And then while I got it in here, just so it don't fall back out, you just put the clip back on. Guess I can only find 3 out of 4 for now. Oh well. So I got 3 of them in anyway. The one that I don't have is the easy one, so I can get the steering column and everything hooked back up at least, and none of the other shit will be in the way. As soon as I find it, I can just spin it on fast and tighten it down. But we'll I'll find another one. I don't know where the hell it went. I didn't see it under the carpet, but I didn't pull it, you know, all the way back here. But I don't feel it. Something like that you should feel. Yeah, oh well. I'll find another one. I'll get the steering rack and everything tight real quick. So we got the booster swapped over, got the master swapped over, got the right front and both rear lines hooked up. Unfortunately, I must have taken the driver's side brake line out at some point. I must have robbed it for that car when I put it together. That's the only thing I could think of. So I'll have to find one. Alright guys, so turns out I don't have a brake hose or brake line like I thought I did. I went down to the basement, and both sets of brake systems that I have do not have the left front. They have all the other lines. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pick up a coated black piece of line, probably about 1 foot long. That should be able to make the bend that we need. Hopefully that line comes with the right ends on it. If it don't, I'll just cut it off. I'll put my own ends on it and I'll reflare it, and that won't be a problem. So that's a wrap for the brakes tonight. I'm not going to be able to get that finished, but it is what it is. I wasn't going to be able to bleed them or anything anyway. It would have just been nice to get all the lines done and ready. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff the return line in, see how far forward it comes in the car, see how much room I need. Like I said, I'm going to try and mount the regulator probably right in this area, because I am going to use a billet fourth mount. We're not going to use the upper dog bone on this car either. So all of this area is going to be free. So I'm going to try and mount that regulator there, and then we'll see what we can get away with for that line. So I'm going to go dig that line out of the car and we'll see what we can do. That is going to be close. Let's see where we're at here for real. Let's lock ourselves in. What is it? Alright, so good way to see what kind of fitment we got here. It's going to be hard to set the camera off. It'll fit right here. Maybe we'll get back here. Spin this back here a little bit. There we go. So what I was thinking is there's a couple holes that go through the fender in the car right here, and I could hog one of those holes out and use this janky bracket that I made and mount the regulator like right there. And if I did, I could even bend it up a little bit. Let's do that. Let's see what kind of room I got here. Oh man, that's gonna be nice. Because then what I'll do is I'll do a 90 straight out, and then we'll do the straight fitting into here. And actually, what I'll do is I'll probably just bend that off to the side a little bit, so my feed line will come off, and then it'll go 90 into the regulator, and then we'll have a 90 out that'll come up, and that'll go to the same fitting that's going to hook onto the rail itself. So perfect. It's going to work, guys. Now I just got to figure out how to let myself out. Oh no! Gosh, it shouldn't be bad, because there is a latch underneath. That's what the, right here is what the hood release cable grabs, and then you just kind of get out. God. Alright, well, we know where we're going to put the regulator, so let's do it. We got the return line in, we got the feed line set up in with the external filter, so that all that stuff's ready to go. Obviously you've seen us put the fuel tank in it, so we got the fuel lines and everything set up in the back already. I just got to tighten everything down. I did mount the regulator, return lines kind of hung in there. The regulator is made so I can kind of spin it back and forth if I need to. That way I can get a little bit of clearance for the fitting that comes off of here. And this is going to be what I use to connect to the feed line coming from the tank. And then this is going to go to the rail itself, so this will be the outlet. So I'm going to have to buy two of those female fittings. That way we can utilize the factory feed line itself, and then we got our own return line and everything else in the middle. So that'll help keep things simple. Won't have to run an AND line all the way to the back. I will move that over a little bit. I'll clean it up. It's just kind of hanging in there for now. But as far as everything else goes, I did get the booster swapped over, got the master swapped over, got the lines in, so that's ready to go. I got the rear control arms off. I just got to take those guys apart whenever I get the call that we're ready. That'll take a couple minutes to do that. That'll be no problem. But we made some headway with the blue car today, guys. Fuel system's mostly done. Just got to get a couple fittings so I can finish up what I need to under the hood. Got to make a brake line for the left front, and then as soon as the calipers are back we can bleed the brakes. So we're pretty much wrapped up with the chassis until I get parts powder coated and everything else on the blue car here. We're going to pull the dash out, we're going to pull the harness off, we're going to remove all the airbag wiring, any extra wire that we're not going to be needing, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get all that put back together and get it rewrapped with the same stuff that I did the underhood harness in, that black and blue stuff, and then we'll get that all put back together, stuff back in the car, and then at that point it's going to be a matter of working on the engine. We got just about everything else done that I needed to do while the engine was out of the car. Definitely, or while the engine and transmission were out of the car, that definitely made it easy working with those brake lines, getting the fuel pressure regulator mounted and all that other stuff. Being able to actually sit in it, close the hood and see what kind of clearance I had helped out versus trying to just bolt it in and then close the hood and hope we got the clearance. So I feel pretty accomplished with what all we got done on the blue car here. Until we get parts for the white car, we're just going to keep grinding away in the blue one here. But anyway, we're going to wrap this one up today, guys. You have yourself a good one. Stay safe, stay clean, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.